Hey guys, it's Rob here and welcome to my very first Robochan Show Mega Show, Name Pendant. A show where I splice all the news into one big video for people who maybe don't have time to watch all my videos during the week, or maybe you missed an episode of the Robochan Show. So without further delay, grab some popcorn, sit back, and enjoy the show, because this video is going to be a long one. You know, even though this Mario rumor about Super Mario's 35th anniversary has popped up and we all really want to play these classic Mario games like Super Mario Sunshine and Mario Galaxy 1 and Mario Galaxy 2 on the Nintendo Switch, there is still that small voice inside of me telling me to lower my expectations because these Super Mario 35th anniversary Mario rumors could not be true. Which please be true, please be true. In this video, we're gonna go over some recent Super Mario rumors that have to do with those Super Mario 35th anniversary rumors and how they could potentially fit into Nintendo's plans. Which Nintendo hasn't revealed themselves, but seeing as holiday season is coming up in a couple months, Nintendo will have to tell not only us, but the shareholders what they're planning on doing. Because let's be honest here, even though they probably want to keep the player base happy, they probably want to keep the shareholders happy too. So the Super Mario 35th anniversary rumors are something that's been circling for months now. For those who haven't heard about this rumor, the Super Mario 35th anniversary rumors were reported by a wider range of news outlets and corroborated by many people in the gaming industry. The rumor says that Nintendo will be bringing back a lot of classic Super Mario games for the Nintendo Switch in many forms. Among those Mario games rumored are Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy 1, Mario Galaxy 2, and Super Mario 3D World, which would be wonderful to play on the Nintendo Switch and on the go. That'd be just fantastic. And if I recall correctly, there were some games that were going to come to the Nintendo subscription service too via emulation, which it would be cool to see Mario Paint make a return, which isn't rumored, but it would be something I'd love to see. I'll probably talk more on that on my prediction video for these rumors, which I'll be doing eventually. Now, Nintendo has been extremely quiet, the most quiet they've ever been in a very long time. I think the last time they were this silent was back on the Wii U, where we had that Wii U drought. Now, for those who don't know what the Wii U drought was, that was when we had very long pauses between each release on the Wii U. Of course, the Nintendo Switch is vastly different, and this situation is pretty much vastly different, but there are some similarities. And it's starting to get to the Nintendo community, me included. We don't know what comes after Paper Mario and the Origami King, which has been out already for I think 1 or 2 weeks by now. December is in just 4 months and Nintendo hasn't announced a Nintendo Direct or any word what's coming to Nintendo Switch or even updates on games like Breath of the Wild or even other games that are not first party, like No More Heroes 3 and the game that I would love to see, Bayonetta 3. So many of us are thinking, or at least I'm thinking anyways, since Nintendo has 4 months until the holiday, Nintendo's big season holiday game that they'll have to rely on are those rumored Super Mario games, which that was actually part of the original Super Mario 35th anniversary rumor that Nintendo will be relying heavily on these Mario games. Now this gives them 4 months to announce these games and set up the holiday season. So this new Mario leak does make sense, and that Mario leak is from Reset Era, and this is what it says. If we go by Nate's words, the Mario collection should release in 2.5 months from July 20th, so it should be announced in the first half of August. Now I want you to do something for me. Keep that month in your head because it's going to be important later in this video. Now in a reply, Nate Drake, the Nintendo leaker, said September was the plan for the Mario release. Such a game doesn't need a direct and it feels more like a Twitter announcement. Now he says it feels more like a Twitter announcement, which I'd have to disagree on that, only because the recent rumors of what appears to be a very popular Nintendo leaker according to my comment section, King Zel. Now he's saying that there's a rumored event in August and a smaller event in August too, which if you want to hear about that and there being 2 Nintendo Directs in August, you can click the top right corner of this video or continue watching. Now when replying to another comment on the Mario 3D collection, Nate said that this should be the first of 2 releases, which I'm guessing the other release is the Super Mario 3D World Deluxe Edition for the Nintendo Switch. And here's why I try to enter my detective mode and try to put 2 and 2 together. So we know that there's 4 months left until Christmas, so Nintendo will have to show off these Mario rumored games if they are true in time for people to buy them. Now there is a rumored event in August like I said before that is a main event, so one of 2 things could happen when it comes to these Super Mario 35th anniversary games, excluding the possibility of it not being true. First, we could see the games revealed in a Nintendo Direct in August that is the main event, which was mentioned in the King Zel leak, which again, link to that video will be in the description below if you want to check that out. So this would be in time for the holidays, but that leaves a fair amount of time between then and Christmas, and Nintendo's momentum of hype that they like to keep may die down after that. So what's the second option, you may be asking? Well, the second option is that we get those rumored directs in a smaller event, and then after those 2 that don't include the Super Mario 35th anniversary games, we get another one in September like the leak says for the Mario games revealed on Twitter or in a trailer, kinda like the Paper Mario Origami King reveal, which is closer to the holiday season. Doing it this way would be a better chance to secure that hype and secure that momentum that I always talk about. Now all of this is based on Nintendo leaks and Nintendo rumors. Do not take this as fact. I've seen a fair amount of people take this as fact or take it as true in the comment section, and whenever I put the words leaks, rumors, or say it in the video, don't take it as fact, do not take it as fact. Take it as false so you don't be disappointed later. But I like talking about it and speculating on these kind of topics because Nintendo is being pretty quiet right now, and it's all we really have to go off. You know, in yesterday's video about the August Nintendo Direct for 2020, I didn't even know there was an August Nintendo Direct leak by a Nintendo leaker by the name of King Zel. He's actually got quite the track record when it comes to Nintendo leaks and other video game leaks. If there's one thing that I've learned about Nintendo leaks is that if they pop up more than once, there's a huge chance that it's true, which let's hope so because we need Nintendo Switch 2021 set up. In this video, we're going to go over the latest Nintendo Direct leak by King Zel, talk about the Kelios Nintendo Direct leak, Nintendo's words on the July 2020 Nintendo Direct, and how the Kelios Nintendo leak and Nintendo's words from that July Nintendo Direct affect each other. So Nintendo is still being quiet even though the Nintendo Switch install base, which includes me, has been waiting and waiting and waiting for a small hint of what Nintendo Switch games are coming to the Nintendo Switch in 2021 and the rest of 2020. Paper Mario and the Origami King has already been released, and as days go by, Nintendo Switch owners are finishing the game and expecting Nintendo to tell us what else we can expect on the Nintendo Switch. Especially when it comes to first party games like Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime 4, which I really want to see. Not to mention Nintendo leaks and rumors are aplenty with those Super Mario 35th anniversary games where games like Mario Sunshine Switch and Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 for the Nintendo Switch are rumored for the handheld console. And that doesn't even mention the Pikmin rumors that are saying Pikmin 3 Deluxe is coming to Nintendo Switch, and I'd say it's about time we get some word from Nintendo on those Nintendo Switch games. And that doesn't even cover the many third-party and second-party games, as well as other Nintendo partner games like No More Heroes 3 and Bayonetta 3. Nintendo has been keeping us in the dark for way too long. And it's kinda scary here. But you guys know me, I'm always looking for signs of the next Nintendo Direct, and whenever a rumor pops up about the next Nintendo Direct, I have to talk about it. So let's just do that and talk about this rumor about the August 2020 Nintendo Direct leak. So King Zel is a pretty prominent leaker who somehow I missed, has some leaks for new information on an August Nintendo Direct, so I'm gonna read those now. Wait until August, nothing this month. There's another thing before the main event. I'm talking about Direct. I don't know about the announcement on Twitter. I don't know what the main event is, but there is something from Nintendo in August. So first off, let's wait until August, nothing this month. It's currently the 28th of July, so for the remaining days we won't see any Nintendo Directs or even mini Directs according to this Nintendo leak. Going into August, according to this Nintendo leak, we should see another event before the main Nintendo Direct, which could potentially set up games for 2021. And of course the rest of 2020, and if not, at least have an idea of what the release windows of Nintendo Switch games are. Now he says there's another thing before the main event. In the July 2020 Nintendo Direct, the announcer said that there will be more mini Nintendo Direct partner showcases. This means that there will be more smaller Nintendo Directs that focus on third-party and second-party Nintendo Switch games that are coming. And this other event before the main event could be one of these mini Nintendo Direct partner showcases. Now the other leaker, Kelios, who correctly leaked the July 2020 Nintendo Direct, also said this about that July 2020 Nintendo Direct that could potentially have a lot to do with King Zel's August Nintendo Direct leak. And here's what he said. They have split the expected presentation group useless games and started with the bad ones. Let's wait. Now I initially thought that this could mean that we could see a big Nintendo Direct next, but going off of Nintendo's words in the July 2020 Nintendo Direct on making more mini Nintendo Directs for their partners, it makes sense that the Direct maybe wasn't split in two, but more than two. Which leads me into the King Zel Nintendo leak with an event before the main event. So what could happen? Well, going off of Nintendo's words and Kelios and King Zel's leaks, there is something that I could see happening, and I'll get into why this actually makes sense after that. So I think we can get a August mini Nintendo Direct just like the last one, which was the July mini Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. And then later in August we could get the main event, which is the Nintendo Direct that we have been all waiting for a very long time. Now the interesting thing about these two Nintendo leaks is that there is another Nintendo leaker that had a huge leak not too long ago, and that was new Marco Maro. Now I have heard he's pretty spotty with his track record, so take this with some extra salt. But part of that leak was that Nintendo will give an update about Nintendo Switch games coming in late Q3 and Q4, and that Nintendo will start being aggressive from September 11th on. And we're actually getting very close to September, and we just had a mini Nintendo Direct. Not only that, but Nintendo is feeling pressure not only from the Nintendo Switch install base, but from the shareholders too. With Nintendo Switch announcements being scarce, the shareholders are really not too happy, so Nintendo would want to get things in gear and please the shareholders. Now if you want to watch a video on that Nintendo leak, which includes a ton of info on Pikmin 3 and another Pikmin announcement, Breath of the Wild 2, Bayonetta 3, Metroid, and more, you can click the top right corner, or continue watching. And by the way, real quick, if you're enjoying this video, it would be a huge help if you can share this video so more people can see it. Try to fight this YouTube algorithm the best I can as a small channel. Now to add to all these Nintendo leaks, in the Nintendo shareholder meeting, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa said that Nintendo Switch production should be getting back to normal at the end of summer, which we're going towards the end of summer right now, so I would think this could potentially mean that the virus is less of a problem going forward. Which you would think, okay, then development on the Nintendo Switch games are fairly back on track, which means announcements soon, right? Well, yeah, because in the shareholder meeting, Furukawa also said the development of Nintendo Switch games are on track, so I would think that we would get some news on new Nintendo Switch games pretty soon, if their projections were getting back on track during the end of summer. Of course, the power would go out, not once, but twice in a video. Let me find that switch. I always have trouble finding this switch. Ah, there it is. Sorry about that. Seems to happen a lot lately. Anywho, overall, even if these leaks are fake, which you should always take all leaks as fake just in case they are actually fake, as to avoid that soul-crushing defeat when we find out that we don't get any more Nintendo Switch announcements yet. If it's all fake, Nintendo has to please the shareholders, so their hand is kind of going to be forced to show something or some kind of plan, virus or no virus. Because yes, Nintendo probably does want to keep the Nintendo Switch install base happy, but they probably want to keep the shareholders, the ones that are funding them, even more happy, which in turn usually makes us happy. I mean, not to mention they need to set up holiday 2020, so I mean they have to show something so they can have that big holiday game. You know, when we eventually do get that one Nintendo Direct that sets up 2021 and gives us information on Nintendo Switch games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, and Bayonetta 3, I really hope we get some kind of extra surprise, a Nintendo Switch game that we knew nothing about. I love the but wait, there's more surprises that Nintendo has. In this video, we're going to talk about the July Nintendo Direct and why the July 2020 Nintendo Direct felt so empty and disappointing to a lot of Nintendo Switch fans. We also need to talk about what this means for the next Nintendo Direct. So Nintendo has been quiet still. Nintendo hasn't set up the Nintendo Switch games for 2021, which for the longest time we all thought they would have by now. Especially considering that Nintendo just released Paper Mario and the Origami King, and we know nothing about their Nintendo Switch plans besides what we got at the July mini Nintendo Direct. And I gotta say, it's really starting to drain my battery, guys. You know, I've come to expect these power outages by now, but that doesn't make them any less annoying. Hold on, let me find the switch. Where the heck is that thing? Ah, here you are. But even though the mini Nintendo Direct was vastly disappointing to me anyways, it really makes you wonder why Nintendo gave us a mini Nintendo Direct that had such little content. Because for a mini Nintendo Direct, it was pretty small. It was more like a micro mini Nintendo Direct. And that's micro and mini, that's super small. If you take a look at the previous Nintendo Direct versus this one and how much was in it, it dwarfs this recent July Nintendo Direct. Now, if you've been wondering why this was, I may have an answer for you. So you recall Kelios over on Twitter who leaked the mini Nintendo Direct weeks before the July mini Nintendo Direct was ever announced on Twitter by Nintendo's Twitter account, right? Well, one of his tweets had something very interesting to say that could speak for not only potential, and I want to stress potential, first-party games, which I'll explain later in the video if you're confused on that, second-party games, and third-party games showing up at the Nintendo Direct, and maybe, just maybe, we can also get those Super Mario 35th Anniversary games, if they're true, because I'm starting to have some doubts on that. So I'm gonna read off this tweet, and then we'll get into exactly what this could potentially mean for an August 2020 Nintendo Direct. They splitted the expected presentation, grouped useless games, and started with the bad part. Let's wait. Now keep in mind this is from the same person who put out word weeks before the mini Nintendo Direct that it was coming on the 20th, so he has some insider information. So what does this mean? Well, we know that Nintendo said during their shareholder meeting that they're getting the Nintendo Switch back on track when it comes to production of the Nintendo Switch. Not only that, but the Nintendo Switch games according to Nintendo are back on track with development, so it would make sense that they have enough games like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime 4 to show off. So if the useless Nintendo games were shown off at the mini Nintendo Direct, that means we could have the bigger Nintendo Switch announcements like Bayonetta 3 and No More Heroes 3 and other Nintendo Switch games shown off at the next Nintendo Direct. But what about the first party games from Nintendo, you're probably asking? Well, summer is coming to a close, much to my own despair, but this also means that Nintendo Switch production is going back to normal and should be back in gear, which means the virus is less of a problem for Nintendo. Now, considering all that information, I think we could possibly see an August 2020 Nintendo Direct that has one of two things. One, we could get third-party and second-party games shown, like No More Heroes 3 and Bayonetta 3. We could even get Pokemon Snap shown, because that's being made by Bandai Namco, and of course smaller Nintendo Switch games too. Or we could see the full August 2020 Nintendo Direct that has both third-party and some first-party titles. Now there is a third option here, and after that I'll tell you what I think is most likely gonna happen. The third option is that we have an August Nintendo Direct that is third-party games, and then when we hit the fall, say September or October, we get that first-party Nintendo Direct with games like Breath of the Wild 2 and hopefully those Mario 35th Anniversary games. Again, if they're true, because I'm still having my doubts on if they're true or not. Now the most likely situation that I could see Nintendo pulling off is having more of these mini Nintendo Directs that are partner showcases. Because Nintendo likes to keep a momentum of hype when it comes to Nintendo Directs. They release some announcements with Nintendo Directs and wait a bit and then release some more and so on. Unfortunately, due to the virus or whatever underlying reasons Nintendo had for delaying the Nintendo Switch games, it kinda ruined their momentum. You know, if the PS5 gets God of War 2 in 2021, I'm getting the PS5 first. I mean, God of War on the PS5 not only looks jaw-dropping, but the combat was incredibly fun. Add in the SSD that the PS5 has, and who knows what direction God of War PS5 could go. In this video, we're going to go over some recent PS5 rumors that talk about the God of War PS5 game being released and revealed sooner than I initially thought, a PS5 event on the horizon too, and a mystery game that is rumored to get revived. So we have seen the PS5 and we know the PS5 specs and we know the PS5 graphics and we pretty much know what the PS5 can do, for the most part anyways. And what I mean by that is when you look at Ghost of Tsushima on the base PS4 and how good it looks, it really makes you wonder what the PS5 is going to be able to pull off. We also know that games like Ratchet & Clank, which looks amazing by the way, loads in assets at blinding speed, which is incredibly impressive. Using it on a God of War 2 for the PlayStation 5 will sure to be amazing. And according to this new God of War 2 rumor, we may be getting it not only in the first year of the PS5's lifetime, but we could get another event that holds the God of War PS5 reveal trailer, which you know I'll be streaming because I mean it's God of War on the PS5, it's gonna be amazing. Now this PS5 rumor comes to us from a YouTube channel named Moore's Law is Dead. According to Moore's Law is Dead sources, the God of War PS5 will have jaw-dropping graphics that will approach photorealism. Now the year that the new God of War for the PS5 is rumored is for fall of 2021, which is about within the year of the PS5 launch window. It's about a couple months ahead, so I guess it's technically the start of the second year of the PlayStation 5's lifespan. Now not only that, but apparently a revival of a mainstay PlayStation game that used to be a tentpole franchise to PlayStation is coming back. Mark Cerny will be working on this rumored PlayStation game that's coming back, and according to the website, Mark Cerny also worked on Killzone and Jak and Daxter 2. So with the new Ratchet & Clank coming out for the PS5, which should be amazing, it wouldn't be surprising if we get a new Ratchet & Clank, which that would be also amazing. Now for those wondering about the PS5 event and if it's real and if we're getting another PS5 event, we know that the PlayStation blog before the first PS5 reveal said that this is not the only PS5 event that's going to be held. So there is definitely going to be another PS5 event, and with this rumor, it could be coming next month, which that would be fantastic if we can get an August 2020 PS5 event. Now for months, Sony was keeping a lot of the PS5 info on hold while Microsoft and Xbox were spewing a bunch of Xbox Series X news left and right, so they held a lot back, and if this rumor is true, they're holding even more than we've possibly thought, a God of War PS5 and a franchise revival. I think if PlayStation learned anything from the PS4, it's that games matter, exclusives matter, and having fun and exciting games in the PlayStation fans' hands is what matters. So it makes me wonder if they're looking back at their older games and reviving a bunch of games for the PS5. We saw this at the last PS5 reveal event with Ratchet & Clank and Sackboy, so it's not much of a stretch to think that we will see more surprises at this PS5 event. I mean, I'd honestly love Sony to bring back The Legend of Dragoon. Come on, Sony, you know you want to. You know, people probably see the Nintendo Switch character and think this is a Nintendo channel, but in fact I enjoy all games in general, which include Nintendo games, Microsoft games, and Sony games. Oh, and of course PC games too. So I'm incredibly hyped for the Xbox Series X, but after this showcase, I lost some of that hype, especially for Halo Infinite. In this video, I'm going to give you my overall thoughts on the Xbox Showcase, and the main game that I want to drive home about is Halo Infinite because I have some things to say about that game. So when Microsoft first revealed the Xbox Series X at Gamescom 2020, I think a lot of people were excited despite the odd design choice. Over the next coming months, Microsoft and Xbox hyped up the Xbox Series X, touting 4K visuals and 120 FPS and the most powerful console ever and so on. In fact, that was their main marketing point, was the visuals and the feel of the next gen gaming and the power. And it worked. I was incredibly incredibly excited for these gorgeous, great games that we were promising to get on the Xbox Series X. Add in Game Pass and xCloud, and not to mention backwards compatibility with Xbox and Xbox One games and Xbox 360 games, and they had everything set up. This was Xbox's perfect chance. Now all that's left is the July Xbox Showcase event. If they stuck the landing, they would have a home run and have a fantastic start to the next generation of gaming. And in the first time in 10 years, I was interested in an Xbox console. And don't get me wrong, I still am. Just a little less now. But then the July Showcase started, and it was off to a decent start. The first game that was shown was Halo Infinite. The cutscenes looked amazing, and they were in-engine too, so I was really enjoying a lot of the stuff they were showing, and I was hyped to see gameplay in the next couple seconds. But then the gameplay came, and I was like, oh, what's going on, Xbox? A couple things I noticed right away. There was frequent pop-up that I noticed, which was odd because I'm 100% certain that the Xbox Series X can handle this game, so it's weird to see pop-in. Another thing I noticed is the lack of details on the models and just the world around you. When we were in-engine, the cutscenes look great, but in gameplay, it feels like it's an early Xbox One game. And what I mean by that is if you look at past Halo games, it looks worse than the previous Halo games. I mean, right now on the screen, you're seeing kind of a comparison of the two games, and this is a big difference. Now, a couple things about this. This could be an early build. That's always a possibility. If this is an early build from like months ago, I question why they shown an early build at the next gen showcase when you're supposed to be showcasing amazing graphics like you've been promising for months. It doesn't really seem like a smart thing to do. Microsoft wants to blow everyone away, and this is what they show up with? Come on, Microsoft. Now, of course, this is if this is an older build. We don't really know if it is or not. Graphic fidelity aside for a second, gameplay looks really fun to me anyways, but it does look a bit like Destiny, and that's a huge concern that I have for the game. Even though the two have a lot of similarities, Halo is not Destiny and shouldn't be. And don't get me wrong, I love Destiny, but when I play the new Halo, I want to play the new Halo, not a Destiny game. If I wanted to play Destiny, I would go play Destiny. Now, circling around to the details of the world and the character models, this is an open world game, so is it possible that that could be why the details on the character models look so bland? I've seen this as an argument to why the visuals look the way they do, and I think no, this is not why the world looks so bland. Plenty of open world games have had gorgeous and detailed visuals. I mean, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, a Ubisoft game, has more detail in the world than Halo Infinite. That's insane, and that should not be a thing, especially considering this is a first-party game from Xbox and it's Halo. Now, there's another argument going around that says this is just 3 months out, that's when the game is coming out, so there is still time to improve the graphic fidelity of this game, and I highly doubt they're going to be able to bump up that much of the graphics and the details in the character models in an open-world game in 3 months. But I think what's important is gameplay, and gameplay does look fun, so it's interesting to see if this game is going to be fun or not. We'll have to see when it comes out. Now, after the Halo Infinite campaign gameplay, we got other games. And here is where the July Xbox Showcase started to lose me. There were so many games that did not show gameplay. The very same mistake that Xbox made with the Inside Xbox that touted the look into the next gen of gaming for Xbox, and we didn't really see that. We needed to see gameplay. Prove me that these amazing graphics that you guys keep saying is real. Give me a reason to buy the Xbox Series X. Now, Fable was shown, and I am super excited for that game, but I'll be buying it on PC, not a whole console. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna be getting the Xbox Series X. I'll probably get the digital version though. Now, oddly enough, the best games that were shown were, for me anyways, were the games that had a more stylistic take on the graphic. The games like Everwild, Grounded in the Gunk were games that caught my eye, and some of them even showed gameplay, which is exactly what we wanted to see. Crossfire also looks amazing, and that's not a stylistic game, that's more of the Call of Duty type graphics. And what I mean by that is realistic graphics. That was really the only game that gave me the next-gen feeling. But that's not to say that there were games that I'm not excited for. Oh no, because there were a lot of games that sounded really cool, like the game from Obsidian, or of course Fable, like I said in the beginning of this video. There are a lot of also cool horror games shown too, like Medium, and of course State of Decay 3, and other games like that. Now, the future of Xbox looks incredibly bright, and I honestly can't wait to experience all these Xbox games. But if I were to judge this as a whole, and after thinking over it, and everything that was shown at the Xbox July event, I think the event itself was not good, but the Xbox of the future and the things that they set up should have potential to be fantastic. But anyways, what do you guys think? Did you enjoy the Xbox Showcase or not? Are you getting the Xbox Series X? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Rob Gaming for more gaming news. Thanks for watching, guys, and remember, stay safe, stay charged, and have a good one.